Hello everybody, today I'm going to be going through some of the books that I would like to get through this autumn, so sort of like an autumn reading list. Autumn is one of probably my favourite time of year to read, just because there's so many like cosy books. I feel like there's so many different genres that are great for autumn. There's dark academia, there's classics, there's fantasy, there's cosy romances, there's so much that just feels amazing in autumn. So yeah, let's get started with the books. So the first two are slightly predictable, and that is the Pumpkin Spice, I think it's called the Dream Harbour series by Laurie Gilmore. So there's the two ones that I would like to read this autumn are the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, because after this it goes on to the Christmas one, which I would also love to read. But yeah, I want to read these two. The covers I just absolutely love, and they just look so cozy, and I feel like they're definitely going to give autumn vibes. Like this one, for example, our main character Jeannie is gifted the Pumpkin Spice Cafe by her aunt in the small town of Dream Harbour. She meets a local farmer. It's very much like a sort of like small town village like community, and yeah, it just seems like a really like autumny book with like, and they have different like autumn festivals and things and like markets and everything, and it just seems really fun and cozy. And then we've got the next one in the book, which is the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and I love cinnamon buns. The next book is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. Yeah, I've been wanting to read this for so long, and because I originally planned on reading it in the summer because it sort of just feels like a summer book, but then when I read into it, I think it's more of like an autumn, winter, like cozy sort of romance, fantasy, bit of everything, and it just sounds really like, I don't know, wrap up in a blanket and read it sort of thing. So we have Emily Wilde, who is an expert on the study of fairies. She's a scholar and a researcher, and she's writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore. So she arrives in a village, has no intention of befriending anybody that lives there, and does not care to spend time with another new arrival, her dashing and insufferably handsome academic rival Wendell Bumblebee. But as Emily gets closer to uncovering the secret of the hidden ones, the most elusive of all fairies, she also finds herself on the trail of another mystery. Who is Wendell Bumblebee, and what does he really want? To find the answer, she'll have to unlock the greatest mystery of all, her own heart. I think this one isn't like, you know, your sort of romanticies where there's lots of plot and there's trials and things like that. It's just a cozy one, so it's not going to be like, I think from the sounds of it, it's not like a page turner where you want to know what happens in this trial or what happens in this like event. You just like sit down and read this cozy book, and it just sounds lovely, so I can't wait to read it. Next up we have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by Byee Schwab. I've actually got a signed edition, let me show you, because my brother got me this for my birthday, and I've heard this is described as a lesbian vampire book, which, if that's not like Halloween autumn, I don't know what is. I believe it's a bit like Addie LaRue, where it like time jumps, because we have, this is a story about hunger, 1532, Santo Domingo de la Calzada. I can't say these words. This is a story about love, 1827 London. This is a story about rage, 2019 Boston. This is a story about life, how it ends and how it starts. So I don't know if we're following the same character or different characters, but well, I think it might be different characters actually, potentially. Yes, I believe we're following different characters, but I guess we'll find out soon. Then I have A Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is such a loved book on Book Talk, and the cover of this as well, I love. This one here, I believe, is a fantasy book, but not, again, not in like a stereotypical fantasy way. I believe that it's like set during the war, and these two people are writing letters, like magical letters or something. Yeah, so when Iris's letters to her brother fall in the wrong hands, those of the handsome but cold Roman Kit, her rival at the paper, an unlikely magical connection forms. So it's an enemies to lovers fantasy novel, and it's two rival journalists. This feels great for this time of year, like reading it soon, because obviously I've just come back to uni again, so I'm sort of back in like academic season, so I feel like that would be great to read this one. Next up we have A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. I found this book on TikTok and it just sounded really good. It seems like a sort of dark academia, witchy romance mystery. So it's set in a school, which sort of is where the dark academia comes in. Again, perfect, I'm back at university. We follow our main character Felicity Morrow, and she returns back to Dalloway School, which is where her girlfriend died. So the dormitory where she stayed is said to be rumoured by the spirits of 5 Dalloway students, girls, some say were witches. Yeah, this one just seems really like, I don't know much about this at all. It just seems like a really fun book, and I can't wait to, I feel like I said everything, but I love reading, so obviously I can't wait to pick them up. We then have The Binding Spell by Marissa Linton. Again, this one is signed by the author. This was my first ever signed book that I got, and I just sort of picked it up on a whim from Waterstones. So this one says, Morgan hopes her nightmares are behind her. Meeting Joe Harper helps. His secret seems as tangled as hers, and their time together is magic. But Morgan's bad dreams return when her archaeologist father begins work at a local burial site. With every relic he unearths, a creeping horror emerges, a spell that binds them all. And apparently the book in 3 words is dark, atmospheric, and fantasy. And I love a fantasy. We then have Babel by R.F. Kuang. I recently read R.F. Kuang's book Yellowface, and I really liked that, so I thought it was about time I picked up Babel. I believe this is like a historical fantasy from what I'm aware. I don't really know much about this book. It's set in Oxford in 1836. Let's read some of the reviews. Yeah, a masterpiece, a riveting blend of fantasy and historical fiction, a monumental achievement. Absolutely phenomenal, one of the most brilliant razor-sharp books I've had the pleasure of reading. And oh my gosh, I didn't realise how small the writing was in this. That's very small, and it's a very long book as well. It's over 500 pages, about 550 pages I believe. But I think this will be a really good one. Like dark academia vibes, it feels like again. And the last book I'm going to include in this video is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, and I have already read this book, but I recently bought the what's it called, the cloth bound classic version of it, so I really want to do a reread and annotate this. And again, this just feels like the perfect time of year to do a reread during autumn, back to school season. It just feels perfect. And look at this cover, it is gorgeous. So yeah, I absolutely cannot wait to do a reread. This was sort of, I think Dorian Gray was one of the first classics that I read when I was getting into classics, so I think now that I've read some more classics, it'll be really interesting to read it again and sort of get my opinions on it now that I've already read it and I can do a reread and I've got more experience of classics, so I can't wait. But they are all the books I'm going to show you today. I'm sure I'm going to accumulate more books on my autumn TBR, but for now, that is it. These are the ones I've got at uni currently, so they're the ones that are on my TBR. But yes, let me know which books you're wanting to get to this autumn, because I'd love more recommendations, always. And I'll see you soon for another video. Bye!